In today's video, we are going to be grading every single NBA team's offseason. Now keep in mind, this is being recorded on September 3rd, 2021, so there is a very good chance that some moves could happen, but it's not going to be a whole lot of moves to be completely honest. The only other move we are waiting for is Ben Simmons to see if he gets traded, but other than that, these are the grades that I'm going to be sticking with. Fresh off an Eastern Conference Finals loss, Atlanta had a pretty good team last year, but they only did improve as they did re-sign John Collins and Lou Williams, and on top of that, they did draft Jalen Johnson and Sharif Cooper, who I think were two underrated picks. Not to mention Trae Young got a max contract, so I'm going to give this team an A. I feel like they did as much as they could. The Hawks bringing everyone back, I think this team definitely does have another run at getting to the Eastern Conference Finals again. For some reason, the Boston Celtics are getting a lot of hate, and people are saying they had a terrible offseason, but I highly disagree. They brought back Al Horford, they did get Dennis Schroeder for a very cheap deal. Yes, we all memed him, but still, for the Celtics, that's pretty good. They got Josh Richardson and Enes Kanter, who used to play on that team. Despite losing Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, I think this team is good enough to make a run back for the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to give them a B. To be honest, Brooklyn really did not need to do much, and I mean, they didn't do much besides just re-sign a couple of their guys, and they did extend Kevin Durant. Now, there was a rumor, and I did make a video about this, saying that everyone in Brooklyn's big three was going to be re-signed by the end of training camp, and that has not happened yet, so I'm still going to give this team an A-. Charlotte is making no sense as they got Kelly Oubre, but they also did draft a guy like James Bouknight, plus they did get Terry Rozier to re-sign, so in reality, I don't know what they're trying to do. Their starting five doesn't look bad, but you have to consider the fact that you drafted Bouknight pretty high, and he was your lottery pick, and there's a chance that he won't even start. Or did you pay Terry Rozier 4 years, $96 million just to sit on the bench? Other than that though, they did make a lot of good acquisitions. I'm going to give this team a B-. Chicago, within a week of free agency, went from a team that was a guaranteed lottery team to a team that has a real chance at the Eastern Conference. Getting DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Alex Caruso was a really big pickup. Despite losing Lauri Markkanen, they have a player like Patrick Williams who will end up filling that void. I gotta give this team an A+. For whatever reason, people are saying that Cleveland had a terrible offseason. I would highly disagree, as they got Ricky Rubio and Lauri Markkanen, not to mention they did draft Evan Mobley, and they re-signed Jarrett Allen. They only really lost Larry Nance Jr. This might shock a lot of people, but I'm gonna give this team an A. To be completely honest with you guys, if they did not re-sign Luka to that max deal and get Jason Kidd as a head coach, I would literally be giving this team a D-. They definitely got worse from this offseason. It doesn't look like they're gonna get really any better. So because of that, I'm gonna give this team a C-. Again, Denver did not improve nor get worse. They only really got Jeff Green, and other than that, they just re-signed a couple people. They did lose JaVale McGee, but he rarely played for them, so I'm gonna give this team a straight up C. If Detroit thinks that just because they drafted Cade Cunningham, they're gonna go from one of the worst teams in the league to a playoff team, let alone even a play-in team, you're sadly mistaken. It's definitely improvement, and it's a step in the right direction. Even though they did get Kelly Olynyk and Trey Lyles, I just simply don't think that I can give them a better grade than a B. For some reason, people are underrating Golden State's offseason as they drafted not only Jonathan Kuminga, but Moses Moody, and they got Otto Porter and Andre Iguodala back. Not to mention, they did re-sign Steph Curry to the max deal, so I gotta give this team an A+. Houston drafting Jalen Green had to be the best move of the NBA draft, if I'm being completely honest. I think this will be one of the best young players in this league. They also did draft Josh Christopher, so for that reason alone, for them mostly getting Jalen Green, I'm gonna give this team a B. Indiana getting Rick Carlisle as new head coach was a really good move, not to mention getting Torrey Craig and drafting Chris Duarte and Isaiah Jackson. They were quiet during the offseason, but I still think they made some significant moves, so for that reason alone, I'm gonna give them a B-. With the Clippers re-signing Kawhi Leonard, Reggie Jackson, and Nicholas Batum, with the additions of Eric Bledsoe and Justice Winslow to the bench, they did the best they could with the little cap space and draft picks they had, so for that reason, I gotta give them an A. The Lakers cleaned house during this offseason. To be honest, I feel like it was right that they did that, and honestly, they made a lot of moves like Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony, also adding some shooters like Kendrick Nunn and Malik Monk. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this team an A just because I really don't think that this team is this impressive, to be completely honest. Everyone's calling them a super team. They're not a super team. They're a big three. Memphis's offseason was, kind of interesting. They did get Steven Adams and Jarrett Culver, while also drafting Zaire Williams, who I think will be a stud. They didn't do anything except Lunas Jonas Valanciunas and Justin Winslow. Keep in mind also that John Morant's rookie contract could be ending very soon, and if they don't make some acquisitions really fast, I think he's gonna leave that team. So to be completely honest, I'm gonna give this team a D. After having a terrible first round, they got Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, and Markieff Morris, while re-signing Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo for very reasonable prices. Not to mention they did re-sign Jimmy Butler to that really big deal. They really only lost guys like Goran Dragic and Kendrick Nunn, so no doubt in my mind, I gotta give this team an A+ easily. Fresh off an NBA championship, the Milwaukee Bucks really didn't need to do much, as they only really got guys like George Hill and re-signed Bobby Portis and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Even though they did lose PJ Tucker and Bryn Forbes, it's not that big of a deal. I still think this is one of the best teams in the Eastern Eastern Conference, and with that being said, I'm gonna give this team a B-. If you're a New Orlean Pelicans fan, I have some really bad news for you guys, because this was a terrible offseason. You only brought in guys like Jonas Valanciunas and Devontae Graham while losing your core of guys like Lonzo Ball, Steven Adams, and Eric Bledsoe, not to mention Zion's contract, just like Ja Morant, is coming to an end very, very soon. So if you don't get some guys within like next offseason or during the trade deadline, he's going to leave your team. So because y'all did absolutely nothing, I'm giving y'all an F. The New York Knicks did everything they needed to do and much more, as they got Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, and did draft Quentin Grimes while re-signing their core players to help them get to the playoffs like Derrick Rose and Nerlens Noel. They really only did lose Reggie Bullock and Elfrid Payton, so that's not that big of a deal, and since they did pretty well during this offseason and they have potential to make it back to the playoffs, I'm gonna give them an A. The Thunder had an interesting offseason as they did re-sign Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to a really big contract, and they did get Derek Favors and drafted Josh Giddey, who I think will be a stud. Despite those moves, they didn't really do anything else, so I gotta give this team a C+, just for the fact that they got Shai locked up. I do not care that the Philadelphia 76ers got Andre Drummond for really cheap. I don't care that they re-signed Danny Green. I don't care that they extended Joel Embiid. If they do not trade Ben Simmons for even a bag of Doritos, I do not care if this team gets an F. However though, if they do trade Ben Simmons, I will give this team an A+, just on the fact that Ben Simmons is the only thing holding them down from being one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Everything else they did was a really good move. To be completely honest, Phoenix did not need to do much during this offseason. They got Landry Shamet and JaVale McGee, and they got Elfrid Payton, which is a pretty cheap pickup if you ask me. They didn't lose anything, to be completely honest, besides Torrey Craig. Phoenix didn't need to do anything else, and they exceeded all my expectations, so I'm going to give this team an A-. If you're not giving this team anything lower than an F, I don't know what to tell you. You simply can't justify it, because they only got Larry Nance Jr. and Ben McLemore. They did get a new coach in Chauncey Billups, but they lost players like Carmelo Anthony, Enes Kanter, and Zach Collins, and that simply doesn't help your case when Damian Lillard wants to leave and he wants help, but you guys are not getting him any help. Unless they get Ben Simmons, which has been a pretty big rumor, this team gets an F. Sacramento had an interesting offseason. They got Tristan Thompson, Alex Len, and they got Davion Mitchell, which I think is one of the most underrated rookies, and I think will definitely be the best defender in the league one day. Despite losing Hassan Whiteside, this team is definitely taking a step in the right direction, and unless they do trade Buddy Hield and get a player like Ben Simmons, which is a pretty popular rumor, I'm gonna give this team a B-. San Antonio Spurs seem to amaze me on how bad they did during this offseason. They got Doug McDermott, Thaddeus Young, and Zach Collins. Other than that, they did not do shit. They lost guys like DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, and Patty Mills, which are some pretty big losses, especially DeMar DeRozan, so for that reason alone, I think it is fair to give them a D+. Drafting Scotty Barnes and getting Goran Dragic did not simply make up for the fact that they did lose Kyle Lowry, and I think this team is definitely going to take a step in the right direction. I gotta give this team a B+. The Jazz picked up Rudy Gay and Hassan Whiteside, but other than that, they didn't do much. They did lose Derek Favors, and that's really about it. So I mean, they did make a little bit of a step in the right direction. It's not the best, so I guess I'll give them a B. The Wizards somehow slowly became the redeem team, as they got players like Kyle Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie, Montrezl Harrell, and a couple more guys. They really only lost Russell Westbrook, which is okay because they were already going to get rid of him regardless, so for that reason, I'm going to give them a B. With that being said, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn on post notifications. Real quick, I need to emphasize this. When I'm grading their offseason, I'm not saying the team as a whole. For example, like the Lakers, I said the Lakers had an A offseason, but in reality, they're an A+ team, you know what I'm saying? So it's not the same thing. I'm just grading the offseason alone and the moves that they made, and I'm grading on how I think they did. But with that being said, like I said, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn on post notifications. I will see you guys in the next video. Have an amazing day. Take care. Peace. If you have made it to the end of the video, here are 2 videos on the screen that I think you guys will really enjoy. Anyways, cue the outro.